So Mr Jones, our principal, wasn't able to come this evening to welcome you, so that's now my privilege. So my name is Anne Harris. I'm the Head of Senior School and Deputy Principal. So thank you very much for coming along this evening. Hopefully you've managed to have a little bit of something to eat before you've come along. Otherwise, we're going to have to listen to some tummy grumbles, I think, particularly from some of our students. So before we go too much further, I'd like to do the Acknowledgement of Country. This is one we use with our junior school. Here is the land, here is the sky, here are my friends and here am I. We thank the Pangarang people for the land on which we learn and play. Hands together, our hearts are bound, we are proud to be on Pangarang ground. So obviously you're here to listen to a little bit more around Year 10. And some of you have possibly come to a few evenings already. We had an evening in here where we sort of talked about future pathways and the future of work. Then we had our careers evening up in the VCE, which was a fantastic chance to listen to a panel, to listen to or visit and meet with lots of different people from different industry. And now we've got this specific night for next year's Year 10 cohort. And I think Year 10 really is the beginning of the choose your own adventure. So you do get that little bit more freedom, a few more different options and things that you might find a little bit more engaging. You'll hear some new terms, things like Fast Track, SBATs, VET, certs, and a few other bits and pieces of new jargon that may become more familiar with you by the end of the evening. And so by coming along tonight, you are giving yourself the best opportunity to make a really good, well-informed decision. The more knowledge you have, the better choices you are able to make. With our current Year 9s in our homeroom sessions, I know Mr White has been organising a few things for you to assist you on this journey. I think you may have already heard from some Year 11s who have chatted to you about different subjects and things like the SBATs, certificate courses, VCE subjects, that kind of thing. Year 9s, have you heard from Mr Dunbar yet? Has he had a chat to you? Not yet, so that'll be probably something that happens as well. He'll come and talk to you in one of your homeroom sessions too. So you've already started that journey. You're being well equipped on the way. And there's a good team of staff that are ready to lead you on the next step. Obviously, in terms of Year 10, you've got Mr Gerish, who's our very experienced Year 10 Year Learning Coordinator. He ran a fantastic camp to Sydney last week, so you've got that up your sleeve to look forward to as well. You've also still got Mr Nixon. If you have been getting some learning support from him, he'll continue to do that role next year. We've obviously got in our wellbeing team, we've got a counsellor and we've got our 2 chaplains. Reverend Mark, who joined us this year, is a great person to have a chat to as well if you're looking for some wellbeing support. So that team that you've had this year is sort of following you through. And then this evening, we've got with us tonight Mr Gerish, Mrs Finlay, our Director of Studies, and then Mrs Sinnott, our Digital Learning Coordinator. And each of those people will be talking to you. Mr Gerish will talk specifically about Year 10. Mrs Finlay will talk about some of the pathways and the timetables and the options that you've got. And then Mrs Sinnott will be talking a little bit about the digital learning platforms that have come online this year and things like that. So I hope you do enjoy this evening. Your brain might be a bit full at the end, but that's okay. If you've got questions, make sure you follow up on it. No question is silly. There's probably other people that are thinking the same thing. So take the time, digest the information, and come and speak to people if you need to. So I'm going to ask Mr Gerish to come up and start with the focus of Year 10. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming along tonight. The focus of Year 10. In 2023, the college aims to prepare students thoroughly for Year 11 and 12. Furthermore, it's important that consideration is given to future direction, future careers and pathways. Some students may already have some ideas and interests they would like to explore. For many, however, this is not yet nailed down. This uncertainty can be added to further added to by some of the information we hear along the lines of preparing students for jobs that don't even exist yet. Whilst this can be challenging for all involved, it certainly has the potential for an exciting and ever-evolving career adventure. And I think this reinforces the need for our students to have job skills that are transferable. After all, it is highly likely that many of our young people are going to change careers several times throughout their working lives. Some of these transferable job skills that we regard highly and work hard to impress upon our young people at Cathedral College include critical thinking and problem-solving skills, the ability to collaborate across networks, agility and adaptability. I know we've heard these words a lot during COVID. Initiative and entrepreneurship, effective oral and written communication, the ability to assess and analyse information, and curiosity and imagination. In Year 9, students are offered a large range of elective options and encouraged to try many. The Year 10 program is designed to allow students to gain a greater understanding of the subject before committing to 2 years of VCE study. By now, students have a greater understanding of their own strengths and weaknesses, as well as their areas of interest. What happens in Year 10? Well, outside of the core and elective curriculum, there are many programs and events in place to support our students' pathway considerations and whole of student development. Work education. The focus in work education is future pathways and includes the week-long work experience, which normally occurs late in Term 2. Now, whilst this does seem like a long way off now, I would strongly encourage next year's Year 10 students to start giving careful consideration to this valuable opportunity. As this should be a particularly personal choice, we would expect that students, with support from teachers and parents, are driving the organisation of their work experience. In Work Ed, students construct a career action plan where they identify strengths and interests and align these with potential areas of employment. They practice writing resumes and applying for jobs, including an afternoon of mock interviews. Employability skills are explored, and considering that many of our Year 10 students have part-time work, they may be assisted in obtaining a tax file number. Homework and study habits. So by Year 10, students should be consolidating the foundations of good study habits from earlier years. Homework is regarded as an essential factor in developing sound study habits, and students are expected to complete 1 to 1.5 hours per night. This may include completing assessment tasks and assignments, as well as simply reviewing work completed in class. If sound study behaviours are in place in Year 10, the extra workload and requirements of the VCE will be less of a stretch. The campus program aims to challenge students in one of two ways. Whilst restrictions associated with COVID have caused us to alter this program in recent times, we're confident that we can continue to provide challenging and rewarding experiences in 2023. For those who would benefit from a physical and mental challenge, Mittagundee Snow Camp is a rare opportunity. Over a week, students trek and ski across the high plains and spend time at the Pioneer Farm, Mittagundee, near Omeo. However, if the cold and lack of bright lights is not for you, then students can challenge their social and community spirit by visiting and participating in social enterprise and community support organisations in Sydney. Mind you, the overnight train travel has the ability to build up a completely different form of resilience, particularly in the supervising staff. I think I may have got the most sleep on the train on the way up and back, and I think that was about 5 hours. So there were complaints of my snoring, but anyway. Year 10 is a time when our young people are in the thick of transitioning from childhood to adulthood. Our students will be at various stages of this transition during 23, and for many students, this comes with various challenges. Cathedral College staff are here to support students and families as they continue to make decisions for their future. So please encourage your young person to ask questions and seek help from the adults here and further afield. That's all from me for now, but if you have questions, please feel free to come and have a chat to us up the back, or you can email or call me at school at any time. Now I'd ask Miss Sue Sinnott to come and talk to you a bit about digital learning. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. As all of the students here will know, this year with our BYOD program, we also introduced Sector Learn, and hopefully many of you will also know that we introduced Sector Engage. So Sector Learn is our learning management system, and you can see the students portal up there. This parent portal looks very similar, and there's actually very similar things that you can see on each one. They're both designed for us to encourage the students to be more in charge of their own learning and organisation, while at the same time informing their parents about where they are with that learning and organisation. Sorry, students. I'm just going to point out some of the important things or things that you can see, and the vision that I'll show you is from the Student Learn portal, but it's the same on the Sector Engage. So this is probably the most important place for the students. This is the dashboard, and this is an example of a Year 11 student, but you can see on the left-hand side is the homework, and the homework is set by the teacher enters it, and then the student can then move it to their task list in the middle. You can also see that their timetable is there, so straight away with their device they know where they're supposed to be and when each day. From a parent perspective, it looks quite similar. This parent has two students at the school, student A and student B, and you can see that student A has a couple of things for homework, student B hasn't got anything. But you can see that student A's homework and their timetable underneath, and student B as well. So you can see the same things that your students can, regardless of how many you've got. I'm just going to talk a little bit more now about assessments and what you can see. So in the assessment tab, you can see up there, I've got a few things highlighted, I'll tell you what they are. Any upcoming assessments that the teachers have released to the class will appear there. So the students will know when tests, assignments and things like that are due. When they've handed them in and the teacher returns them, you can see the dark purple block. That's when the marks have been released by the teacher. So you can see what marks you got, and you can see some feedback from the teacher. They might require you to do a bit of a reflection. There might be a rubric in there as well. And your parents can see exactly the same thing. Okay. In the courses, this is where the teachers can upload their class information. It varies quite significantly between different subjects, between art, English, maths, science. So not all course portals will look like this for Sector Learn, but the same information is there. And you can see that there's some class activity, a video to watch, and down the bottom is where the teacher would enter the homework, which then appears on the students' Sector Learn dashboard. The last thing I'm just going to point out to you is on the large timetable that the students can access, and you as well, it's the bottom tab you can see there. It actually shows whether the students have a lot of assessments in the 1 week, and I know it's really hard to see, but your students can go home and have a bit of a look. But you can see that on Tuesday in the purple there's another little icon in there, and that icon means this student has an assessment at that time. So it's a really handy way of going, I've got a really full week, what am I doing? Well, let's just have a look at your timetable and see if we can prepare your revision, or if you've got an appointment coming up and you're not sure if there's an assessment on that day, you can have a bit of a look as well. If you have any questions about Sector Learn or Sector Engage, please feel free to either ask me when I'm up the back or email. And parents, if you have missed how to get onto Sector Engage, please let me know at the back and I'll drop you an email tomorrow. So now I'd like to hand over to our Director of Studies, Julie Finlay.
Thank you, Sue. Hopefully, your child has brought home one of these. If they haven't, maybe they could collect that tomorrow, because it requires a little bit of homework from here. So what I'm going to talk about is the subjects available to you next year and get you to do some homework and some thinking about the relevance of those subjects and the pathway that is best for you. Now, in this book, not only does it tell you about Year 10 electives and core subjects, but it also tells you about a multitude of subjects that are available as VET or VCE subjects in Year 11 and 12. And the idea behind that is that you can see where the subjects that you're picking next year may lead to in the future for whatever combination of pathway you choose to do in Year 11 and 12. It is going to vary for all of you because this is the bit that's what's your interest and what might it lead for you. So for some students, they are in Year 10 and they're consolidating what they know about their pathway ideas, but they might need to work a little bit more on their work habits so they really are ready for that Year 11 and 12. They might need to think a little bit more about what that is for them and what that might lead to. For some other students, they're actually ready for that next step. They're organised, they're committed, they know what direction it is, and that's allowing them to choose the subjects that they're going to take. Whichever pathway you choose, you're going to have the core subjects, and this is for the final year of Year 10, where you have English, you have geography, you have health and physical education, you have history, mathematics, religious and values education, and science. And that is because with those subjects, you then have the skills and a broad general knowledge to just about embark any subject you like. So they're the core subjects. I'm going to focus on the maths a little bit because this is where maths in Year 10 is slightly different. At the bottom of your subject selection sheet, you will see it says Mathematics Tertiary, Mathematics General, Mathematics Foundation. Please circle. Okay? Your teacher will help you and guide you with a decision from this. Based on how you have been working so far this year, and you will have received an email about a maths exam that's taking place at the end of this term. Combined, they help the teachers and you to decide which of those pathways is best for you in Year 10. If you're taking tertiary maths, it is because you're thinking that you need or you enjoy maths so much that you would like to take specialist maths, which is high-level maths, or maths methods. And over Year 10, a couple of classes will pursue those maths courses with things like algebra and lots of different things that I can't even think of, but Miss Sinnott will tell you what they are. So if you're thinking of doing engineering or medicine, when you've done your research or you're good at these subjects, they're the ones for you. General maths is a little bit more like business maths. You're not doing the things, that high-level stuff that you're actually sometimes thinking in the class, why do I need this? Okay, again, there's a couple of classes of general maths, and that allows you to work along and still do an entry level or go into a career with a good level of maths competency. There's also foundation maths, which now is a Year 11 and a Year 12 subject, and allows you to, again, show that you are competent in an area of numeracy, and particularly TAFEs or other organisations or employers like to know you've got that level of competency. The diagram that I have up here, I know you can't read from there, but it is in the book for you to see how those pathways lead to other things. And I would recommend that if you're confused and you're not sure, you contact the maths teacher to actually see what is appropriate. We do have parent-teacher interviews at the beginning of next term. So even if you circle one thing and you go to the parent-teacher interviews and it seems different, then you can swap. It's not until the end of the year that we put those classes finally together. And even next year, if you're doing really well in general maths and you actually really want a challenge, we've just done subject selection interviews for Year 11s next year, and a couple have gone, oh, I need maths methods. They're doing really well in general. They're working now in that maths methods class, the tertiary maths, so that they're ready for year 11. So there's allowed to be movement between those particular classes. So it's worth thinking about what level maths do you need for the future? What level can you cope with? My advice would be do the maths, the hardest maths you can for as long as you can. Okay, without stressing yourself out, because I know for maths. But my one piece of advice is when people say to you, you don't need maths in the future, you would be surprised how many then come back to me and go, I wish I'd listened to that part. If you do it at school, when you've got some support, you've got it and it's out of the way. So that's my first piece of advice. It is really worth finding out what you need. So some courses will say that you need maths. And if you have any particular questions, please see Mrs. Bronwyn McGorlick, who's the head of maths. Also at the end, Sue, as I mentioned before, is a maths teacher, so you can get some quick answers today. So once we've got the maths out of the way, we've made some choices about that. What else do I need to consider? So the first option is you just do year 10. There is nothing wrong with doing that, because if you do a good year 10, you're organised, you're doing your research, you're well prepared, you're doing subjects that you like, and you've got that foundation level of skill for year 11 and 12, whatever that you choose to be. You will see that it's only 2 choices this year, and that is because in year 11 you've only got 6 subjects. So you do maths and you do English, and that's 4 others. Okay, this is 8 periods each, more like a VCE subject, which is 10 periods each. It's so you get that depth of knowledge and that time in that particular subject. I know some of you are going to go, but this is in the same block as this subject, I've got to make a choice. I'm afraid that is what is going to happen. When you get to a year 11 and 12, you can't do 15 subjects. You've got to narrow it down to that 5 or 6. You'll see in there's some things called VET subjects, and there are some things called VCE subjects for fast tracking, and then the other ones are just, as I say, straightforward year 10 subjects which allow you to build a foundation knowledge into year 11 and 12. There are some subjects in there, you'll see that there's just a straight year 10 psychology, but then there's also a fast tracking psychology. You can do psychology in year 10 to see if you like it, gain a background knowledge, and do psychology at VCE. You will see that if you're picking a VET or a VCE subject, you have to do it for the whole year, because what you're doing is starting your pathway early. What it doesn't have on here is if you would like to do a VET subject with TAFE or as an SBAT, one of these columns will become that subject. So you will write on that column here, under this column, so you want to do it in the first block, TAFE course or SBAT, and I'm going to talk about that now. Now, a VET subject is a more applied vocational subject. We increasingly, with the changes that have occurred in VCE pathways, are offering VCE subjects. For you in year 10, you could do that as sport and recreation, or you could do that as information technology and digital media. Both count like a VCE subject, so what you're doing is starting it in year 10 and going into year 11. It gets scored like any of the VCE subjects, and when you're picking your 6 subjects in year 11, you can have 2 VET subjects if you like, because that's the way you learn. In year 11, you'll see that we offer music as a VET subject and furnishings as a VCE subject. If that doesn't suit you to do the media or to do sport and recreation, there are lots of other VET subjects that are available, and you can do that through the TAFE. Now, to do that, to find out what is available and if that interests you, and I'll give you a couple of examples. If you're interested possibly in health profession, there is a brilliant course called Allied Health, which allows you to do placements at the hospital and actually try different aspects of the health industry. That's run from the TAFE, but the placements are actually at the hospital. To do a course like that, you actually have to apply, and after I've finished speaking, there's some forms with this information about what is available, but also put your name down so that we can follow up with you on the expression of interests about how you're going filling in that form and what information is available to you for that. Animal studies is another one that's popular. Another one that people interested in health but not health, community service is another subject that's offered with that, but there's also things like building and construction. There's a whole realm of those subjects, so please have a look at those. As I say, if that's what you would like to do, fill one of the columns down as a vet course, and that will become one of your elective subjects. If you like applied learning or you like work a bit more than school, how anybody can not like school, I don't know, but some people would like to actually use a bit of workforce experience as part of their learning journey and a part of their pathway. So to do that, you would do, instead of one of the columns, a school-based apprenticeship. Now, to do that, it is a great way of actually getting purpose into your education, but you need to start now working with Mr. Dunbar on finding that placement, because it is, you do need to follow a process to actually find an employer, to go through all the paperwork and be registered. And what will happen is you will use your time back at school to actually complete some of the work that you will have missed while you're on your placement. So again, if you're interested in that sort of pathway, a school-based apprenticeship as part of your Year 10, please see Miss Sinnott or Mr. Garish at the end and put your name down on the expression of interest form. Mr. Dunbar can't be here today because of COVID, but he will contact you straight afterwards and start that process of what are you interested in, what's the world of employers, but you need to make the approach. The school can't make the approach necessarily for some of those businesses, but it's a great way to actually put some practical experience into your course. Then we've got another option, which is called VCE Fast Tracking. Now, like the vet, sport and rec or media, you have to be ready for this because everything you do counts. You don't do that piece of homework, you don't do that outcome, you actually get a non-satisfactory, and that's it, okay? So you have set work requirements, you have to do all of the work that's completed for that, and obviously you're working at the level of a Year 11 student. So you have to really think about this because you're also balancing that with your Year 10 subjects. It does mean that you will do in Year 11 the external exam for that, and as a result it means not all subjects are suitable, and I've listed there biology and psychology as the two that are offerings as a VCE Fast Track subject. Why those two subjects? Because one of the reasons that you might choose to do a fast tracking subject is because you need a really high score later on, and this is going to give you an extra 10%. So and biology, obviously, if you're looking at something like medicine, is one of the subjects that's very helpful. Psychology, likewise, is in that health field. For both the vet subject that's at school, so that's at the column A, and for fast tracking a VCE subject, on Monday you will receive an email. This is both parents, guardians and students that's saying, if you're interested in this, please fill in the expression of interest form. It is not you've just picked it like of the electives and you're straight in. We say that you've got to have a good grade, like a B+ or an A, in those particular subjects in order to qualify, because it is a like a fast track, you're doing a year 11 subject. You've got to have shown that you're organised and you're actually committed to your learning. So you have to show us that you're ready for that extra commitment. Okay, so if you think you're ready for that and you will need that and you've got the grades for that, then that's something, even if you go through the process of the interview, can I do this? It's actually worth going through that process. So the things that you need to consider, I haven't mentioned LOTE, but you will see LOTE, like the VCE or the VET fast tracking subjects, you need to do in both semesters. I've always said that you need to continue that learning throughout the whole year so that you've got a proficiency in that subject. So again, you need to feel that in the first and second semester. I've already mentioned about the maths, and do seek some help on whether that's the right subject. Doing a bit of research about what you think you would like to do and might be helpful will help you pick some of those subjects, or do the subjects you love, because later on that will lead you to find your passion and will help you find something that you enjoy. Definitely do not at this point do it just because your friends are, because it's going to get hard and it's going to become stressful if you're struggling through that. Whether you're going to university or another institution or going into the workplace, to show what you can do of your own accord and what you're involved with also helps. People call it micro-credentialing, but you're showing someone that you have initiated things. You're showing initiative and you're a problem solver. And as I said before, please put your information down so that we can follow up, because those VET courses with TAFE and the SBAT need to be sorted out now. We can't help you. Many places will be gone if we leave that until the end of the year. So I think that has given you a little bit to think about, a little bit to take home and talk about. So go away, have those conversations. Email your teachers if you're not sure. Email the teachers who teach those subjects if you want to know more. On Monday, as I said, the fast tracking information will come out, and then you've got about 2 weeks to actually complete your forms and hand those in to Mr. Wyatt, and we'll process those and then begin the interview process. I hope that that has given you a really clear view of what your options might be in Year 10. Sue, Tim and myself are here afterwards to ask any questions, or, as I say, send us an email, contact the relevant person and find out what you need. I hope we've helped you. Thank you for coming along.